All right, welcome back to 80 Star Basketball Channel. So a huge article here on Collect about the largest sale ever for the Jordan rookie, and at 925,000 for a PSA 9 that was sold privately. Obviously, this is huge, and I will come back to this in a second. Just first wanted to kind of mention I've been busy this week and I won't be able to get out the videos I wanted to get out, auction action being one of them. I do want to point out that that the 8 hit my almost exactly hit my prediction that a BGS 8 sold for 24,000 in eBay. So that closed on Sunday night, but I did want to mention that. Nailed it. But the other thing, subscribe, comment, like, give me all that fun stuff. So kind of looking at the hobby and getting the word out. But so let's going back to the main thing here, and this huge article from Collect, and kind of going on a massive sale, the biggest sale. This is obviously kind of hobby shaking and will be talked about for sure. And a couple of things that I noticed. So here's my take on this. One, obviously, I've been saying this for months. The momentum I've been, and only on these YouTube videos since January. But prior to that, on forums and whatnot, it's just been blatantly obvious that this card is insanely undervalued and still is. And I do want to say, when I look at numbers and I look at data, it is still has a long way to go. It's kind of like when something just starts climbing. And I'm not trying to hype it. This is all built on what I perceive the probabilities of outcomes are for this. And cycles feed on themselves. That's nature. And it takes generally catalysts to break those cycles. I see no catalysts or bad news coming for this. It is all good. And it all just kind of started. So to me, I feel that these cards have a long way to run. And I'm a little hesitant to throw out numbers because, one, I'm not interested in what it can sell for. Honestly, I'm not selling, and that's my hope that I can hold on to my copies. I was hoping to get more, but that's not gonna. It's looking like I might have been priced out of my next copy, but I will make an attempt to see what I can do. But it just shows me, but it affirms what I saw, is that this card is just for what it is. It really is the only Jordan rookie card. And to me, I want to go and talk to some of Beckett's XRC designation for what he's showing. So I'll get to kind of come down here, but I kind of walk through. He gives some history here. I like a lot of what the dealer wrote. I did talk to Dave, and I'll kind of get Dave's comment after this. Dave and I are friends, and I've talked to him I've done some transactions with him, and I know how Dave thinks and whatnot somewhat, and I'll talk to that in a second because he's kind of at the end, and I'll get there. But it talks history here of Star, kind of going through like what happened, and then the scandals. Because what he does point out up here is that for the person, Jesse Craig of Acquire, said it's time for collectors to wake up because they've been asleep at the wheel. And again, just kind of painfully obvious, but right, it's still that it still has so far to grow or run. People, there's so many that still aren't, and it's just kind of happening now. So kind of that momentum. I see the PSA 7s and stuff. It's all going to keep trucking as far as I can see it. But hype, that all basically built on those fundamentals: low supply, what the card actually is, dispelling false rumors with good data, and with good data, time, and low supply. The fundamentals are there for Star. It really just is. But coming down, talks about the history, and I'm going to jump around a little bit. This is more of a stream of consciousness. I didn't have too much time here, so I'm trying to get it out. So if I jump around, I'm sorry. So history kind of going and basically saying the aesthetics matter, and kind of they do. They don't matter if it's a rookie card or not. That doesn't matter, the designation. But, it isn't something that catches your eye as an awesome one. This is, to me, again, I said it, the 86 Fleer is just an awesome looking card. for that pose, and it's definitely iconic. But they already knew the brand by then. That also says that it's not the rookie, because it was Air Jordan by this point when they came in and got to construct this card. Back with the 84 star, he's still the rookie. They don't know much, and it's kind of limited. All this limited stuff, but limited doesn't mean it's not licensed. It isn't the first, and what makes a rookie card, and that makes a rookie card. And this being a third year, and I'll go down and talk to that in a second, because it tries to give Beckett tries to show his justification. I don't know Beckett. I obviously massively disagree with him here. I think he got it wrong, as do a lot of other people, including Nat Turner, sorry, not Nate Turner, Nat Turner, PSA, and that's why PSA called it out and decided to grade, because the star card, he calls the star card the rookie card. And Steve Taft, who was a dealer in Star, and what made sense is, hey, no, in 85, these are the cards that we had. This was after his rookie season. It really is base, just base arguments. Well, Beckett starts to try and say, well, it goes into his definition. By the way, Beckett made the definition of XRC. No one else. It was his media magazine, which was the only big megaphone at the time. That's the problem. When you have a limited data and a limited media source, you are going to get what, you basically follow what you're told, because the herd will. So if you're following the herd, it's all going to be what Beckett says, and, oh, this is what this is. Well, Beckett came up with this distinction, and that's what he tried to say was, oh, and it falls under this. Well, first of all, it doesn't even fit the definition of XRC, because that means extended. This was a base set. The 84 star set is a base set. It is not extended from anything, and it is much more comprehensive than the Fleer one. Again, I'm kind of hashing these arguments out that I've already explained and shown in other videos for anyone who's watching this, who hasn't seen my other videos. But it got as it went in, and it focuses here. What I kind of didn't like, the article focused on just that. Hey, wait a minute. The context of the time was that, and it was Fleer and Fleer and Beckett, that they somehow had to coerce that was the context to have sway. Their context was there, but the bigger piece to me even was also the dealers. The dealers had all these cards, and those are also the people in Beckett's ear. Well, the dealers at the time are doing this. They have, because there's so much of the product. There are so many 86 Fleers out there that, well, of course, that's what you're going to, people want the Fleer. Oh, of course, because there's so many of it. And the packs are out there at the time, so people are buying the packs, and I'm going to get the first Fleer card. And that's all it really is the first Fleer card for Jordan. And that's, early, but it isn't the rookie. And here we come into, him talking about, prices and whatnot. But, even if it doesn't, what's funny to me is the Fleer one was almost, even if it didn't, he didn't have some sort of agreement and whatnot with Fleer, which I kind of believe him. I don't think that he actually kind of said, we have an agreement that I will do this, and we have this decision. No, it's the outcome of him talking to all the dealers and Fleer, and also knowing his audience. That's what it was at the time. So, and then kind of coming down, I think there was one more argument. It talks about the stigma of the counterfeiting, and I can see that. If you actually are truly worried about it being counterfeited and all that came out, I get it. That's one of the reasons I guess I was part of avoiding Star prior, is that you hear all these things about it and you just kind of avoid it because you don't want to get burned. So, that I can totally see, but that with information that gets cleared up, and that's kind of what happened. But, coming down and looked at Dave, and he basically just says, hey, things are undervalued. It talked about sales and, kind of what Dave thought in terms of the cards. So I know Dave is a collector, and I know one thing, he's thinking. Dave is also a massive collector. If he's buying Star, and correct me if I'm wrong, Dave, but if Dave's buying Star and he's selling it, he's buying more Star, and he is just as much of a collector as a dealer. So, kind of one of the things he said that he mentioned is he's going to be holding on to at least one of these PSA 9s until it reaches the full potential of that. Like, he doesn't really care to get rid of it. If it never hits that, then he won't be selling it. And that it should be as valuable. His expectation is that this should be a PSA 9 of this should at least be worth what a Bowman, 51 mantle is worth. Just because Jordan is much more globally known, and go to the hobby, go to the basketball, and kind of these other factors that are huge for Jordan and staying power. He's a brand, so going forward, it just makes sense. I actually agree with that assessment, and I would tell Dave if I disagreed. And but to me, it's pretty painfully obvious, especially with the numbers at this point. So those are kind of the arguments that kind of what was said, and I kind of looked at this, and that's the last thing is also they talked about the time frames about when things come out. And this is the thing about the XRC designation I don't like, is also because it goes down these rabbit holes of logic. It starts to use side things. Well, it wasn't nationally distributed. Yes, it was. If I was in Wisconsin, I could use the phone and I could get it. And if I knew and was in the hobby. So it starts to come down to, it wasn't shipped to CVS or something to those. I'm not trying to exaggerate it, but I'm trying to show it goes down these rabbit holes of logic. If you were in the hobby and you wanted the card, you could get it. You would hear about it in shows. Also, if a Beckett was out in 85, it would have been more known. The demand would have been higher. There simply wasn't demand. So the same arguments that are being used, for it can be turned right around. And in my line of work, if you stress test data and logic, it breaks. And how fast it breaks with all these arguments, you can start going down. Well, let's take your logic further. And then every time I do that, it just breaks and breaks. So it doesn't make sense. I can see he's trying to make a standard. I get that, but it just simply doesn't. It doesn't work in all cases, and in this case, it didn't work. But he still made the distinction because I think at the time it made much more sense to do that. So that's kind of what is happening here. So he said that Fleer came out a year. What is it? A year something later. So he doesn't think that it matters. And it's like, no, you had 2 cards come out before this Fleer. It's a third-year card. There's 2 stats on the back. You have a different one. By all standards, I would think that's pretty easy to see. It is, it's very, very different. So this XRC label to me is just, anytime I see it, I'm like, it makes 0 sense. Anyway, that's my, those are kind of picking out the problems with it, but it's actually, overall, it's a good informative article. And it's good that, for what's trying to be shown is that the momentum and everything, that the perception in the hobby is changing. So, I think that Darren did, it's good that he put this out and agree with, some things in it for sure. Don't, wish some other things were different, but, that the article itself is fine. And obviously the news is huge. So, anyway, yeah, check it out. Like, comment, subscribe. That rambling was the best I can do and get out in a short period of time. So, yeah, I'll check out anything else that's going to be coming out from it. But until then, I'll see you at the next video.